everyone, and happy Friday. I am out here before the sun is up questioning my life choices, but we are headed out. I'm headed out to meet Deb down at Caledonia State Park, and then we're going on to Panmar Park, where you last saw us on the Appalachian Trail, and we are going to go out and do a 3-day section of the trail. I would talk more, but I haven't had my caffeine yet, and I can't find my phone holder for my tripod. So let's just get this show started. I'm caffeinated and feeling a little bit better now, and we have made it to Panmar Park. If this looks familiar to you, you've obviously been watching my videos. If it doesn't look familiar to you, check out in the notes below the link to our hike across Maryland last year, because this is where we started from then too. So Panmar Park is on the border between Pennsylvania and Maryland. And where we're starting off today, we are heading north this time. We are going to meet up with where we started our first overnight last June, which I will also link in the show notes below. We're doing 19 miles over the course of 3 days, 2 nights. My first multi-night, and this time for sure, because I have to start doing multi-night trips. But we're doing 8 miles today, going to the Tumbling Run Shelter. We're seeing a number of hikers with packs heading out already, so I don't think we're going to be the only ones there. But it's a really big site, so we should be okay finding camp. But our first goal is to get to
the bathroom.
The bathroom here, because we need to use the restroom. And then we're going 4 miles to the Deer Lick Shelter, which is our target for lunch. And I'm focusing on small sections because my hip is still a challenge and my feet are still a challenge. So we're going to think about this in small bites, and we will get there. As Deb and I were saying on our way up here, we can do this. It will be hard, but we are perfectly capable of doing this. So now we have to go put our money where our mouths are. All right, let's finish getting together and get out on the trail. So here we are, Mason-Dixon line. That's Pennsylvania. That's Maryland. We've done Maryland, or I've done most of Maryland. So now we're going to go do Pennsylvania. There will be rocks.
So excited.
There will be rocks. But, all right, so let's get day one going. We have finished our big climb for the day. It was 1,000 feet of elevation over about 1.5 miles. And I'm not used to doing that with 35 pounds on my back. So we are feeling the pressure. But now we go downhill, but not as far. The rest of the next 5 or 6 miles is just 200 ups and downs. Little ups and little downs.
We're 6.5 miles from the shelter we're sleeping.
Yeah, so we're only about 6 miles from where we're camping tonight. So first trip out of the year is always the hardest because we're just not in shape for this. But I was just saying to Deb, we are coming out like baby thru hikers do down in Georgia. 8 miles a day with 35 pounds on our back. Most of it food. So our big excitement was we just heard helicopters going overhead, and I think that it might have been Marine One. So that was very exciting. Of course, I was too stupid to pull my camera out and record it. So, all right, let's start going downhill. So we stopped for a snack break as we got to the bottom of the mountain, and things are leveling out a bit now. But we had a brush with celebrity. We ran into another YouTuber named The Wandering Woodsman, and we actually had referenced some of his videos for this hike to get a sense of what the trail was like coming into the Deer Lake shelter. So thank you very much for your videos, and it was lovely seeing you and talking to you. And I know you're finishing up the PA and AT, the AT and PA today, so congratulations on that. That's an accomplishment I hope to emulate someday. All right, if I can not trip over these rocks and break my neck. All right, we are still about 2 miles out from Deer Lake, and then we're gonna stop for a substantial break and have some lunch. So, but things have leveled out quite a bit, so it's a little easier walking. So hopefully we'll make better time. All right, let's get to it. It is 3 o'clock and we just left our very late lunch at Deer Lake Shelters. So we've got a little under 4 miles to go. I didn't film much at the shelters. It was actually very busy. We saw quite a few people there. Mostly section hikers, but a couple of through hikers. There's one guy who is point to pointing self-supported. So he left his bike at one end, drove his car to the other end, is hiking to his bike, and then riding the bike back to his car. Which, man alive, that's an accomplishment. So now we've got this 3.5 miles, which I'll be cutting it close to get there by sunset at my speed. But if we don't have too many more rocks or major climbs, I should be okay. There's a park at 2.5 miles, which is where we'll stop and get water, because water's hard to come by. I can't remember if it's at the Tumbling Run Shelter or tomorrow night's shelter, but we'll figure it out. All right, gotta keep moving. So we have made it to the Tumbling Run Shelter and campsites. We are over in the group camping area, even though we're not really a group, but there's a boisterous crowd over in the shelter, and most of the sites over there are taken anyway. So we figured this is a little better. Lets us choose whether to be social or not. So it's very nice. There's pea gravel tent pads, like, what, 8 or 9 of them? And enough trees to find a couple of places to hang hammocks. So I think this is going to work out well. So we're going to take a break, get set up, maybe grab a snack, and then go over, use the privy, get water. I may soak my feet, but first we got to set up. Nope. Yep. There we go. Oh.
Okay, so that falls. Fall on my head. Okay.
All right.
Oh, I like the glow in the dark rope. No, on yours.
Oh.
It is the freakiest thing.
Good morning. It was very cold last night, and I don't know why my underquilt did not seem to work very well, because I was very cold. So I am wearing many, many layers. I have my puffy and my alpaca and 2 layers of long johns and my buff and my hat and both my hoods. As usual, I didn't get to sleep till after midnight. And it sounds like we had some other people come into the group camp area during the night. I kept thinking I heard animals walking around under my hammock, but I think that was my imagination. It was just them setting up. It's still very cold. It's about 6:30. We're not in any hurry to get out of camp today. We do have about 7 miles to do today. About 1,300 feet of elevation gain and 700 feet of elevation loss. Ooh, excuse me. And I really need to pee, but I really don't want to get out of here. Alright. More when I have hot something. the last one's out of camp, but I think we're going to be pretty close to it. The folks who came in very late last night also left very early this morning. So I only knew they were there because I had to go out at midnight to do some business. This is a really nice shelter area. We're not close to the shelter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was quieter here. They had music going and a lot of talking going on late. So, but it's also us being antisocial. But this is another one of those two-shelter locations like we saw at Quarry Gap last year. So that's very nice. One is labeled snoring and one is labeled non-snoring. I'm not sure how much difference that's actually going to make, but... And they have a designated area for tenting and a designated area for hammocks, but there was no issue with me hanging my hammock here in the group site. And this group site has, as I said last night, quite a few tent pads, all covered with pea gravel, so it's very comfortable to walk on. It's got benches and a picnic table and a sunken fire ring, so it's very nice. It's a little close to the road. We could hear traffic during the night. It was 36 degrees when I went to do my morning constitutional. Oh, and the nice thing about using a privy is the person before you warms up the toilet seat. That was lovely this morning. You also may have noticed the different bear hang we had last night. That is called a bear pole, and it's a rod that you use to lift your bag up onto these hooks at the top of the pole, so that the bears can't get at it. And it took a little coordination, but it was certainly easier than throwing a bear line. So Deb is still in her tent. I was just so cold I needed to get up and start moving around, and I'm going to start packing up just to have some extra movement. But I've got my protein hot chocolate made. I got my food laid out for the day. One thing I did notice, I needed to put my propane canister in my coat for about 10 minutes because it was so cold that the mixture of gas in those little tanks is such that when it gets cold, I think it's the butane won't light. It just doesn't flow when it's that cold. In fact, it must be the butane because my lighter wouldn't light either. I had to warm my lighter up. So that was fun. But I got it working. I've got my hot chocolate, so I'm going to drink some of this while I start packing up my hammock, and we'll get this day started. All right, we are getting off to a very late start this morning. It is almost 10, but it has warmed up substantially. It's in the high 50s going up to the mid 60s today. It's supposed to feel like 75, so either way, the day is going to make up for the night. We are taking advantage of the really nice privy before we head out that has toilet paper and hand sanitizer. It's lovely. If you are a new backpacker looking for an easy first trip out, I definitely would recommend coming and doing this. If you park at Old Forge Park and then hike in, it's literally a mile to the shelter here. Even if you don't stay in the shelters, there's really nice tent spaces, there's good hammock spaces, and in the group site space you can have a lot of privacy. So it makes it all feel very easy. We're like, can't we just stay here another day and not climb this 1,200-foot mountain today? But no, we are going to climb the 1,200-foot mountain. It's about a mile and a half, 2 miles up. There is supposedly a view at the top. So we are going to go see what the view looks like. I hope there's not a lot of rocks. To the turnoff for the Chimney Rocks Overlook, but only through sheer dint of will. That climb did me no favors. I can't believe it was only a mile and a half, but we still have a little bit more climbing to do, and then some downhill and leveling off. And then we start heading for our camping area, which is about 5 miles, 5.5 miles. However, there is a scout troop that just went up to the Overlook, and we were talking to the scoutmaster, and they are also going to the same shelter that we are going to. So I think we have decided that instead we are going to stop at a stealth site before we get to that campsite. We won't have the privy and we won't have the water source, but the water source was a 1/4 mile down the mountain, so that wasn't going to be really convenient either. So there is water at one of the road crossings we're going to be crossing, so we'll get water there and then see what we find. So come on along. I am not doing great. Between the climb this morning and all the rocks this afternoon, we did, I don't even know at this point, many miles of rock. And it beat up every part of me. My feet hurt. My back and shoulders hurt from my pack. The backs of my thighs are chafing because I'm basically just exuding sweat or salt. I had to stop putting electrolytes in my water to just try and control that. So we're about 1.5 miles from the shelter. Deb's gone on ahead with both our water bags. The Boy Scouts are ahead of us, so I told her to give the bags to the Scouts and tell them to do a good deed for an old lady in distress. And if I'm able to do 1 mile an hour, then I should get there by 6:30. If not, I'll get there when I get there. And a real sign of how wiped out I am is this is the second time I've had to record this, because the first time I forgot to push the start button. All right, we made it to the off-ramp for the shelter. It's 0.3 miles straight down the mountain. Deb got here 20 minutes before me, started going down and went,
Oh, hell no.
oh, hell no. And if Deb's going, oh, hell no, then I will definitely go, oh, hell no. And then we'd have to come back up it tomorrow. So we have made the executive decision that we are going to continue down the trail, and there are several stealth sites. We are going to have to be super cautious with our water because I don't think we have a leader between us. So I think we're just going to have bars and tuna fish and crackers and wraps or whatever we've got for lunch tomorrow. We'll have that for dinner tonight. Our first water is about 3.5 miles up the road in Caledonia, which again, that's doable once we've had a night's rest. But right now, I do not have the energy left to go down that hill. So I have to put the damn pack back on. The hardest thing about recording your hike is you can't really record the hardest parts of your hike. So that clip that I just showed you, we had to rock scramble over all of those rocks, and it's the same on the other side, maybe 100 feet. So Deb and I were spotting for each other on how to get through that. Meanwhile, I'm looking for snakes because it's the perfect place for snakes. But no snakes, no falls. All right, we got about 1.5 hours till sunset. and we're looking for this spot. Good morning. We're on a speed run this morning. It's supposed to start raining about a couple hours, and we want to get as close to the car as we can before that starts. And certainly we want to have camp broken down. So we're not, oh, excuse me. We're not lingering in camp this morning. Add to the fact that we don't have any water. Well, we have about half a liter of water between us. So, and the nearest water is 3.5 miles. So we're gonna get everything packed up and get on the way.
That's the rock that got to meet the good china. This is contact gold. Hey, we're keeping it real out here.
You can stop now. Step on, over anything you can step on, and don't step on anything you can go around. It's the only way I'm getting down this mountain. So, happy Beltane, everyone. We got our early start, and I was happy I got to see the sunrise. And then we dove right into the reason why this is called Rocky Mountain, and well deserved. The top of it, the ridge, is just all boulders. Deb kept saying, oh, it's not as bad as it looks. And it probably wasn't. But when you're not quite up to speed first thing in the morning, it's pretty intimidating. So we've got about 2 miles to the campground, where there are bathrooms and running water. And that's where we're going to take our first break for the morning. But I've got more rocks. Trip ends with more of a whimper than a bang. We made it to Caledonia, which, hey, that's damn good. But at separate points, both of us kind of hit hell no moments. We had 1.5 miles to the car, so we still have that sitting out there, but it's a very steep climb. As you can see, it started raining, so we'll come back and do that as a loop or something at some point. But we met some very nice gentlemen up from Ohio who are visiting National Historic Battlefields in the area, and talked them into giving me a ride to the car, which was interesting because the driver had done a very, like, 3/4 of the Appalachian Trail in 2019, and he and his friends are all doing section hiking like we are, and have done the same section we did up to 233, which was where we started climbing up to the shelter last night. But they bailed at that point because they didn't want to make that climb. So I was telling them what a wise choice that was. So all in all, what do you think, Deb? We accomplished something?
That's the elevation for today.
To get out of here?
Yeah.
That's a big climb out of here. So.
In the rain.
In the rain.
Not
so
doing that.
Yeah, no, it was a wise choice. Part of the challenge of hiking is knowing your limits. And last night I hit a point where I wasn't sure if I had hit my limit or not. And we pushed through it and got to our campsite today. Today, I hit my limit and I knew I was done. When aches turn to actual pain, it's time to stop. So I'm comfortable with the choice that I made today. I feel better when Deb also went. Yeah, we're done. So there is a diner 5 minutes away, so we are going to go get some real food. I look ridiculous because I'm in my car shorts, but I don't care. And I'm going to mark this one down in the books as complete. So thanks everybody for coming along. I hope you had a good time laughing at us, cheering us on. I'm not sure which, but and I'm not sure if I'm going out to do anything next week then, because this has been a long week. But we will do something, and I hope you'll come along then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.